some of my earliest memories of them early Oasis songs. To be talked about in the same kind of lineage or tapestry, like you said, is kind of humbling and an honour, yeah.
Sam Fender recently said that the music industry is rigged. He says that it's against people from working class backgrounds.
There was no kind of leg ups, so I don't know what it would be like to have that thing. So you'd have to agree with Sam there. And I know he's from probably the similar background to us, so yeah.
Will Blossoms be supporting Oasis? So today I'm here with Tom Ogden, the singer and songwriter of the band Blossoms. Tom, thank you for coming in. How are you getting on?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm really good.
Yeah. So Blossoms, you're a group of friends from Stockport.
Yes.
I think you'd have 4 UK #1 albums when you first started.
God, no. I mean, you never even think you're gonna you're gonna travel the world with your friends and do this as a living. I suppose you don't think that when you start. I didn't anyway. I just kind of wrote songs for kind of as a hobby.
And it was the circuit, the pub circuit, and then what was your first foray out of that into sort of more established venues?
I think all of us were in different bands from being maybe like 14, 15. All of us did the pubs and that kind of circuit where your friends and your family had just come in and it was kind of just a night out for everybody. And then we kind of got maybe unhappy in the bands we were in or outgrew them or something, got to like 19 and decided to form a kind of Stockport supergroup of friends, which became Blossoms. And we kind of did things differently from the off with Blossoms. Like there was kind of a trend of promoters getting you to sell tickets and like paying you nothing, and basically they just take it all and you just end up still with your friends and family there, but they were making a load of money basically. So we kind of was like, right, we're gonna it was never about making money or anything, it was just so we could create a buzz. And we just went, right, we're not going to play shows for anyone else at the start. We're just going to put on our own gigs, which is what we did. And I think loads of them were free. Some of them were like £2 or £3 on the door. And that's how we kind of created the buzz. And we were very on it about the way we looked from the start. We all wore turtlenecks to kind of unify us. And we just kind of took a bit more care over every aspect of the band from the off.
That's interesting, because you can see that now, I think, as well, with your social media posts. They're well curated, and your stage shows, it's all a look, album from album to album.
Yeah. I think that's been there from the start, and I think that was learnt from maybe what we kind of didn't work well with our other bands, or we felt we were lacking in them bands, and then looking at other bands to inspire, Arctic Monkeys, for example, were a big inspiration, and they kind of always evolved and had quite a strong look. Yeah, so that was it. We kind of decided to consciously do things a little bit different with Blossoms and just kind of trusted our gut from the start, and we kind of always felt like we were in our own little lane in a way. We didn't feel like we were part of like a scene or anything like that.
But you are part of this wider Manchester tapestry of bands. The Smiths or Johnny Marr's a fan, Ian Brown's a fan, the Gallagher has been a fan. How does it feel to be in with this company? Yeah,
it's humbling and an honour, I suppose, because I grew up on all them artists you just named then, and my parents went to watch them in the 80s and the 90s. So to be talked about in the same kind of lineage or tapestry, like you said, is kind of humbling and an honour, yeah. So if we're part of that lineage, then that's all when we started the band, we'd have been happy with that.
And do you think this specific area of Greater Manchester, seeps into your music and lyrics in a way, maybe from these bands, or just?
I think so, yeah. I mean, you're kind of influenced by the bands you listen to anyway, regardless if they were from Manchester. Obviously, a lot of them happen to be from Manchester, so I do think there is something in the music and the lyrics. You take little bits from each band, I suppose, and yeah, I think definitely there is something in I don't know whether it's the grey where I don't know, there's a juxtaposition between kind of the way your music sounds to the lyrics sometimes, and there is just something in the water, as they say. So,
and has it seeped into your outlook as well, the area?
I think so, yeah. You're conditioned by where you grow up, I think, and there's kind of not a pessimism, but there is a bit of that sometimes, and kind of, you never get too carried away in a way. You kind of aim for the stars, but then always have one eye on but you never know. You don't know what's around the corner. You know what I mean? It can't can't all be that good in a way, but with a bit of tongue in cheek. I think the sense of humour as well, actually, it's worth mentioning that, like, within our music, we've always kind of had quite a strong sense of humour within, we called our last album Gary. I think that's kind of from where we're from, kind of bleeding into it, I would say.
I was going to say, is it something that you think about? Like, we want to be a band with a sense of humour, we don't want to take ourselves too seriously, or is it something that just comes across naturally?
It just comes across naturally, I think. I think maybe as we've got older, we've got more comfortable showing that, in a way, as opposed. But then saying that, we've always done stuff, like we launched our second album by, like, we made like a fake mockumentary, like we'd split up and Charlie had become a mascot at Stockport County. So there's been ridiculous things there the whole time. We kind of toe the line between taking it very seriously and, like you said before, having your eye over every aspect. And, when we started out all wearing turtlenecks, and that could be seen as quite, like, I know, I imagine at the time people looked at us and probably thought, what are they doing, in a way? But we didn't care at that time. And I think now you're more comfortable in yourself, and you understand what you want a bit more, as opposed to trying to fit in, so to speak. So yeah, it just comes naturally to portray that side of you.
And you think music. Still living in Stockport has helped with that?
I'd say so, yeah.
Keeps you grounded. Yeah,
because we all kind of live on the same road, and it's a bit. I don't think there's many bands who have the kind of setup we have, and it is just we do actually enjoy spending time together and get on, and we are mates. So yeah, I think staying in Stockport. Sorry, I did a gig last night, so my voice is a bit dingy. Staying in Stockport's definitely bled into that. I think maybe, who knows what would have happened if we'd have moved to London, say. But I think it's definitely helped keep us grounded, as you said.
And we've mentioned these other bands, Stone Roses, Oasis, yourselves, Stockport. You've all come from sort of humble beginnings, these Greater Manchester bands. And Sam Fender recently said that the music industry is rigged. He says that it's against people from working class backgrounds. Do you think you'd agree with this statement?
I think you'd have to be. Probably, yeah. He's very. If you look at the kind of, if you were to draw it into odds, as you're saying, the odds of making it out and doing something in a band from a working class background is going to be more difficult than if you'd had maybe you knew people, or you had kind of. Yeah, you were mixing in the right circles, or you were from a different upbringing. I can only speak off my experience, really. So I'm from a working class background, as are the whole band. And there was no kind of leg ups, so I don't know what it would be like to have that thing. So you'd have to agree with Sam there. And I know he's from probably the similar background to us, so yeah. I'd agree with him.
So do you think a guitar band from the likes of Stockport or North Shields would struggle nowadays to afford to even be in the band, let alone go on tour?
Yeah, and I think it's always. I think as far as, the bands I've grown up listening to, watching documentaries, listening to, obsessive about them, all the bands I grew up listening to are from them backgrounds, so I suppose there was never any money to pump into it until you got maybe a record deal or some sort of backing. So them early days are always borrowing a tenner off your mum here and there, and somehow finding a van, all chipping in for a van and putting the petrol in, and the gig money from the gigs paying for the petrol money. So that was what it was like when we were starting. I know when Oasis was starting, that's what it was like for them, in the getting about in the van. So it's probably the same as it was then, I suppose, for working class bands. So yeah, it's going to be the odds. There's probably more chance of making it as a footballer.
Yeah,
I think I heard someone say that. I don't know how true that is, but
think of all the players in all the leagues in England, professional, and France and Spain. I suppose that is probably
and all
true.
the bands, like an artist, and if you're kind of in complete obscurity, yeah, it's so. I suppose social media has been positive for maybe helping people break out and getting your name out there.
But do you think that's why we see more solo artists and not as many bands in the charts now?
Maybe. I tend... It's hard. As a songwriter, I don't tend to, analyse it too much and think about it. You kind of got to be focused on staying inspired yourself, I suppose. But I think just from... And if I was looking at... Well, I know what the costs are, say, with a band to travel around, put you in hotels, this and that. It's going to be cheaper to put one person in than it would be to put 5 of you in. So maybe it would be more appealing to back that on a monetary... But I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it would be cheaper for the people above. So maybe, but who knows? I think it's cyclical, isn't it? It goes round, and the music, if you look through all the years, it kind of weaves and changes and turns with the times, I suppose. So I've not analysed it enough to give you the solid answers.
No, that's great. And speaking of cyclical, there's one band that are back after many years, Oasis. How important were Oasis in inspiring Blossoms?
Integral. They were kind of the band for me growing up. Still are my favourite band, but growing up especially, I was just obsessed. My parents, well, my mum saw them at Main Road in the 90s. My dad loved them. So some of my earliest memories of them early Oasis songs were always played around the house. And as soon as I was old enough to kind of get into music myself, like early teens, Oasis just became my favourite band. I'd watch all the interviews online. I know all the discography. I had the whole discography on my phone, all the B-sides. So yeah, they are the reason I started writing songs.
And their Heaton Park gig in 2009 was a special moment in the Blossoms' history, was it not?
Yeah, it was my first gig, Joe's kind of first gig as well. We went to that gig together, 16 years of age, like, got the train down, had the merch on, got into like the front pit, and it was just like a whole eye-opening experience. I'd never experienced anything like it. The amount of people, like, being in a crowd, everyone singing, it kind of made the music make even more sense in a way. Because I'd watch videos, obviously, on YouTube and stuff of, like, the Main Road gigs, and was just... Yeah, I am a super fan. So it was kind of... Seeing them just made it... I was just so grateful that I seen them back in the day. And then I never thought we'd see them back together again. So the fact they've got back together now, as a fan, is just... You feel like you just turn into a 16-year-old again. I think everyone has that with the favourite band. No matter how old you are, they still make you feel like you did then. In a way, even though I'm like a completely different person, it's mad.
Well, what is it about the music that grabs you and the vast majority of people in this country? What makes it so special?
It's the melodies, probably first and foremost. The songs are great. They've got an unbelievable frontman with so much attitude, which people... I think because they're so real and honest, that's what people can sniff out when that's not real. And I think you can't deny it. You look at them and you just think they are being themselves. So I think it's the fact that they are truly themselves alongside the great music and the great voice. It's everything, I suppose. It's an amalgamation, isn't it, of all them things. And
that means that they've endured more than other bands, say, of the time or the era.
Yeah, it's timeless as well. Like, the songs are timeless. They wouldn't. If the songs were bad, they wouldn't stick around. But also the fact they split up kind of turns you into like a myth and a legend, which then adds to it more in a way. So they've been away for 16 years. It's just gonna add fuel to the fire, isn't it? And you've got this new wave of generation who've never seen them. You know, I was 16 and I was kind of the last. I saw him on that last tour. So anyone who was younger than me would never have seen him, really. 'Cause you don't really go to gigs, do you, before you're 16, really? Unless your parents are, like, taking you. So, yeah, these, like... Well, you'll have, like, 25 people who are, like... Yeah, I know what I'm trying to say. There's, like, a whole 20 years, almost, of people who are wanting to watch them.
Yeah, I've never had the opportunity to see
that's
them,
what
really.
I'm saying.
Yeah. But I'll be going...
Yeah, of course you will, because then you've grown up listening to them, and... I can't imagine what it'd be like growing up listening to them, when they're not together, because they were together when I was like 14, 15, 16. So yeah, just I could talk about them for hours. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you've played with them. You've been on the same bill as Liam and Noel.
Yeah.
And you met them. What are they like?
Really sound. Yeah, you obviously, when you first meet someone like that, you kind of, you'd be lying if you said you wasn't starstruck. But the more times you meet someone like that, you kind of realise they're just from a similar place to you and they like the same stuff. Support Man City, like, you know what I mean? It kind of becomes normal, or as normal as it can be. They're still like your heroes, because that's not going to go away. But yeah, I've watched the games with them. I've played gigs with them. It's mad. It's surreal, but they are just really sound guys.
Normal guys, but did they ever say anything or do anything you're just like, oh, that's pretty rock and roll, that's why they're Oasis?
Yeah, I think just their aura. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. They just walk in and command a room, and yeah, just the way, just them being themselves, their aura is enough, I think.
And you played on the same bill as Liam and Noel last year on 2 separate occasions.
Yeah.
Got to ask, will Blossoms be supporting Oasis at any point on their tour?
No, I don't believe so, unless we get asked. I mean, I've said it in interviews before. Obviously, we'd love to, but I think they've got it all sorted out with the people they've got on, which is sound. I'm going to go and watch and enjoy it. So you never know what's around the corner. If they're going to be playing more and more gigs over the next few years, then who knows? We might get asked. You can't presume these things, and we haven't been asked. So
haven't been asked.
No.
Just saw a large gap on your touring schedule that could fit in.
No.
I was like,
I think because they announced like a teaser at the end of our Wythenshawe Park gig. Everyone just kind of put 2 and 2 together, but that was the first time we'd heard about it at that gig. So there was no kind of, we weren't like involved or anything like that. So
you'd love to.
Obviously, yeah, you'd be lying, wouldn't you, if you said you wasn't? But it's not. We're not gonna. I don't think. Do you know what I mean?
But will you be going to see them?
I hope so. Yeah.
Got tickets?
Not yet, but we're friends with Noel's daughter, Anais. So Anais, Manchester, please.
Well,
we're pretty busy this summer, to be fair.
You sure?
We've got a lot of shows, so I need to like check the schedule. But I'm hoping Anais might be able to sort us out.
What would be the one song you'd be most looking forward to seeing when they walked out at Heaton Park?
I could say so many. Morning Glory would be unbelievable. Rock and Roll Star. Pick any of them.
Is that are they your 2 favourite Oasis songs?
No, I just think they're kind of just the attitude, start of the gig kind of vibe. I think if they come on and did something like Morning Glory or Rock and Roll Star, you just sets the tone, doesn't it? My favourite tunes are like Whatever or She's Electric, but they're not all, I don't think they're like regular staples on when they used to play. So, but they're one of them bands where like any song, I know all of the songs and I love them all. So it's kind of,
you'd be happy seeing anything.
It's one of them, like if you go and watch the Arctic Monkeys or someone, you kind of like, you're in, aren't you? You're not like waiting for the 5 or 6 tunes that you know. So yeah, I just all of it I'll be enjoying.
So what's your favourite Oasis album then?
I'd probably have to say What's the Story, just because
the big hitters on it.
It's kind of, yeah, it was the kind of the massive choruses and the kind of the strings. Obviously, Definitely Maybe was special. That's kind of what gets you into it in a way, and a bit more attitude on that record. But for the songwriting, I suppose that had the most influence for me, and learning the songs especially. They're kind of the songs you'd learn on your acoustic at home. What's the Story? So they were the songs I was learning growing up. Rock and Roll, Definitely Maybe are more tunes you play in a band together. You wouldn't really play Rock and Roll Style on the acoustic, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas like Don't Look Back in Anger and all of them, Champagne Supernova, Cast No Shadow, She's Electric, I could name them all, but that record was kind of influenced me as a songwriter, I would say, the most. So it means the most to me. Well, I even like Don't Believe the Truth, I think is a great record as well, which was like the second to last one. So yeah, I'm massive. I'm Be Here Now. I buzz off Be Here Now. Love that record. So
in the 12-minute.
Yeah, I love the attitude of it all and the indulgence, and there's some great tunes on that as well.
Well, going back to yourself, the story of Blossom's new album, Gary, is that it was a fiberglass gorilla that was stolen from a garden centre.
Yeah.
How did this helped then pave the way for the album and influence the album?
Well, I wrote the song, and obviously when you're writing for a record, or you're going into an album kind of writing campaign, you just got to write loads and loads and loads. It doesn't always, and I imagine it's probably similar for everyone, you don't immediately have the concept or the idea from the off. You kind of just got to write your way through it and then join the dots in a way. So we kind of wrote 50 odd tunes for the record. I find that's the best way. Then you can cherry pick the ones you really, really love. And Gary was written as a song on its own after hearing that story. And we kind of we loved it as a song and thought the melody was great, and it kind of had something in its own little lane. So we knew it was going to make the record, and then when it came to naming the album, we tried a few other ideas and wrote things on the wall, but they were all just felt too serious and not really us. And I just kept being drawn back to Gary. I was like, I think we should call it Gary. And then I was like, let's do it. And they trusted me and we went for it. And people seemed to resonate with it weirdly. And it connected with people on another level that we maybe hadn't had for a couple of records. So, yeah, you got to trust your gut, I think, is what I learned from it.
Well, on the song Gary, you write with a sort of narrative rather than talking from personal experience. Yeah. Why is it that you chose to write Gary in that way and not every other song in that way? You quite often you write from personal experience. Yeah, I suppose it just depends what's going on in your life. If you've got enough stuff to write about, I imagine a whole record will end up coming from your own experience, because I think most of the time, if you can write from personal experience, it kind of adds another level of weight to the song in a way. But saying that, there is something to be had from testing yourself and trying to write songs from other people's experience, or just the ludicrous things like Gary. But I did it on Your Girlfriend. I'd wrote that song a couple of years ago after reading a blog online about someone being in love with a friend's girlfriend, and was cherry picking the lines from the blog. So that kind of set a bit of I knew I could do it then, and I've done it off and on with things. So when I heard Gary, I was like, oh, it's kind of funny, and started reading about it and just did the same kind of thing. And I suppose you've got a clear narrative then, haven't you, to go to. You can divert a little bit if you want and, pad it out and put your spin on it, but ultimately you've kind of got the parameters of where it can go, which can be good and bad on some songs. Some songs I think are better that they're maybe a bit ambiguous and you don't know what it's about. Like Charlemagne, for example, I don't really know what that song's about, but it just sounds good and works, and it'll mean something different to each person. Whereas a song like Gary, you kind of listen to it and there is a narrative, and you're telling a story really. So that song was just written because it had to be written like that. I heard the story. I couldn't really. There's no personal experience going into it, I suppose. Well, did writing something like that sort of let go of a few inhibitions and mean that you were going to have fun with the record?
Yeah,
and it was going to become that type of record?
I think so. I think that from the off we kind of knew. The last record, Ribbon Around the Bomb, felt a bit more serious, was written in lockdown. Maybe didn't connect to people as much because it was a bit more... We tried something different, a bit more conceptual or whatever. Where this time, we kind of knew we wanted to make a party record in a way. It would make people dance and have fun. So that was always one eye on that, but we didn't know how that was going to present itself. And then Gary just kind of got us there. And
it is a dancey, funky record, and you employ the skills of Jungle, the producer's band, whatever you call it, on a couple of songs. What was it like working with them? What did they bring to your songs?
Yeah, great. Amazing. We worked with Josh from Jungle on What Can I Say After I'm Sorry and the song Nightclub. And yeah, we'd never worked with anyone else. We'd always worked with James Skelly in Liverpool, and for a few records we'd been saying, we're going to try someone else, and Skelly himself was like, you should go and work with someone else just to see. And we had a couple of songs knocking about, and I kind of thought, it should sound a bit like Jungle, What Can I Say After I'm Sorry. So I went on the song credits on Spotify and found they produced themselves basically. So then we just reached out. They were fans of us, and next thing you're in the studio with them like 6 months later. So it was great. It was great to see how Josh worked, and he's a bit of a genius, Josh, to be fair. He's just got brings something different to it, and you kind of you always think, because I just do think their records sound a certain way and have got a certain swing and groove to them, and seeing him work, you're like, that's how you do it. but you can't do it yourself in a way.
Was that what they brought? The swing and the groove?
Yeah, definitely. And just the vocal stuff he does and the harmonies, and it was just a different way of working. We kind of often will go in with the kind of song knowing which way it's going to go, and whereas Josh kind of had us improvising a lot and just layering up loads of harmonies and backing vocals. Then we'd go out the room and come back, and then he'd made these backing vocals from the second verse, the intro and the hook, and you're like, oh, we'd have never thought of that. And that's what great producers do. They kind of will take things that you didn't see and mould it in a different way, I suppose, and put it through their lens, which is what he did. And you can definitely hear it on the tunes he worked with. And we worked with CMAT.
I was gonna ask. Yeah, I like your look with CMAT.
Yeah,
that I've heard it came about. She met you in Wales, was it? For a writing session?
We saw her, heard her music in a record shop in Brighton, went to watch her that same night, was blown away, and kind of remained friends for the rest of the year. Tried to write together in Stockport, but it didn't really work out on the dates. So then she came to Wales with us because we had it booked in. And then it was better that way in a way, because we were all together, and it was like a songwriting camp for a week. And we set up all the gear in this Airbnb, and it was unbelievable. And I Like Your Look was born out of that. And it kind of, you can hear it on the song, there's like a freedom to it, and again the fun element to it. And she's again, don't want to keep throwing the word genius out there, but she is a bit of a songwriting genius. So it was amazing to see her work, and an honour to work with her. And yeah, just one of the best experiences we've had as a band, that it really was. And we needed it. It was right in the middle of making the record. We didn't know which way it was going to go, and you go through all these different waves of like self-doubt when you're making it, and you think what we've done up to now is a load of crap or whatever, and then we needed something like that to kind of pull it together. And yeah, it was great, so good.
I was going to ask, was it these collaborations with Jungle and CMAT, were they so refreshing?
Yeah,
you've been going for a long time now. Did you need a little bit of a
100%
refresh?
Definitely, yeah. You need to you just got to get out of your comfort zone a bit sometimes. I think the worst thing you can do is just stay in your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. So that got us out of it, and we still worked with Skelly and finished the record with James, which was great. And I think he's a genius as well, and that helped pull it together. And he got us to play live on the whole record, which I think adds to the energy of the record. So everyone's little lens kind of makes it what it is. So,
and this new energy feel to the album meant that you almost didn't put Perfect Me on the album. Yeah,
weird. Again, that's that thing of you go through different waves and you fall in and out of love of different songs. And I think we thought it's two blossoms in a way. And we'd worked with Jungle, and we thought, oh, these and the stuff with Kira, I Like Your Look, they were so different that when we did Perfect Me, it kind of happened really quick and felt too easy in a way. And we were like, oh, is this too straightforward in a way? Mm-hmm. But then we underestimated the kind of charm of it and the immediacy of it. So we went full circle on it, and we heard it like 6 months later, and we were like, oh no, it's great.
That's a single.
Yeah, it's got to go on the record, and it's a single, and it's probably the one that's got played most on the radio. So you've got to kind of, and people around us backed it, to be fair. Got to say that the radio pluggers and management were like, there's something in this tune, don't write it off. So we listened to them as well, to be fair.
It's good to know that you're getting,
yeah, you don't know
band,
everything. Yeah. You've got to trust the people around you, I think.
Sure. And you guys have had your own podcast for a number of years, and you make stylish social media videos. In what you're showing so much of yourselves to your fans, other people keep an air of mystery about them. Why do you choose to sort of open your lives up in a way that other bands maybe don't?
I don't know, maybe because we are friends, and I think we were always quite active on the social media from the off, and we just kind of kept, I think once you've started like that, you can't really then do a full 360 on it and change that. So I suppose it just comes natural to us. We like making stuff as well. If I wasn't in the band, I would have tried to be some sort of filmmaker or something. And editing, that was kind of my thing. So any opportunity we get with the band, I try and do that. So I think it's just natural.
I was going to say, it seems very hands-on, like you all do little parts, like you're editing, and was it Joe in the band?
We sewed the backdrop together.
And
it's pretty mad, to be fair.
Someone built a kitchen for your studio bit.
Joe did that as well.
Yeah,
so we're kind of, we are probably the most hands-on band going. But it's just the way we are, I suppose. Can't sit still.
And you've said before, you are just still a proper gang of mates.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You don't fall out ever, no?
Yeah, of course you have like arguments here and there, but natural, healthy ones like you would in any relationship. And communication is the main thing. So we kind of, it works well for us.
Mm-hmm. And has this helped you just by sticking together, by being a group of mates from your childhood? It meant that any success you did get, you were able to sort of keep each other in line, in check.
Definitely. I think, again, going back to that thing of you don't know anything else, do you? You know how you've kind of done it. So the fact we are friends, and me and Joe say have been mates since we were 12. You have a different sort of relationship in that, don't you? And you pull each other up on things you wouldn't be able to say to other people. So that's definitely the core of the band. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's definitely kept us the way we are.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Tom.
Nice one, mate. Thanks for having me.
I'm just going to ask, with the launch of Virgin Radio Britpop, I want to ask you your favourite Britpop tunes.
How many?
You can do 5.
5, Jesus. Okay, Britpop. Disco 2000 by Pulp. I used to cover that when I was like 15 in pubs. Oasis tunes you pick?
It would have to be from that sort of, that era, first 3 albums.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Go Supersonic. I feel like Britpop was more What's the Story, Morning Glory though, so... Some might say, I like that tune. What else have we got? You have to go with a Blur tune, wouldn't you? Girls and Boys, that's a bit earlier in the 90s, isn't it? But like that tune. 3, can I do 3?
3, yeah.
That'll do.
You got an album. Defining Britpop album.
That got to be What's the Story for me. Morning Glory.
Of course. Well, thank you very much, Tom.
Nice one, mate.
Tom from Ogden, from Blossoms.
Yeah.
Virgin Radio. Thanks.
Nice one, mate.
Virgin Radio.